One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days and back again for another episode of the Dominant Effect. I'm Archbishop. We got Mike Ball, Eric Onleager, and got a pretty good show for you today. It's something that everybody's probably know a little bit about. I'm sure conversations has done hit the barbershops and the beauty salons and everywhere else talking about it. So I'm pretty sure everybody got a pretty good opinion of what we can really talk about. But before we jump into that, like always, we check and see what everybody been into for the week. So we'll start with you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because you kind of went out there for a second. This past weekend, I had a bug out bag seminar that me and a police officer friend of mine taught at Vandalia Range and Armory. And it went from 10 o'clock to 12. We had about 18 people show up. It was free to the public. And it was a great thing. And I will have the video posted for it this coming Friday.
What was it about? What all was it about? Just bug out bags or what?
Well, we did it. We specialized. We talked about bug out bags, historical reference, why you would need one. Yeah. And then we did, we specialized in get home bags. We did half the thing was on that. And then the other half was on bug out bags.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
was that your second class?
No, that was the one I taught this
Oh,
month.
got you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So about
Yeah.
18 people showed up on that. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
3 of them was the gun shop staff, the range staff. 3 of them was there. Everyone there was experienced. There was no amateurs in the room, but everyone was taking notes. And uh, I know one of the people in there walked out and told the range owner why did it take so long for them to have something like that there. I mean, that's how much he loved it.
Good
Man,
stuff.
that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't do anything close to that productive, but got the car finished Monday morning. Got it back, and it's been awesome. So other than that, it's been a lot of news. Obviously, I think this is speaking of the news. This was in the news this week, and it's definitely been an interesting topic for sure.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, everything been pretty copacetic. Same thing, like always. A whole lot of work and not a lot of rest. That's what it's been. You know. um, I mean, I'm not complaining about it because I mean there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's it's going to be fun actually doing it, but all the back work is what's
Of
frustrating.
course, of
But
course.
but we're getting it all together. Everything is going according to plan, going as it should, and we should be rocking and rolling here in a couple weeks. So like I said, all of you that know the word of prayer, put one in for me. You know what I mean, that we can get this done in a timely fashion and I'll have more news for you as the weeks progress.
So what happens when we have a
So
movie star on the show? You know what I mean? Totally.
not yet, not yet. We're getting there. We're
You
getting there.
are, but
We're getting
yeah.
there. So so today's topic we're going to talk. We're going to dig into a little bit about what's going on in D.C. Um, so everybody knows D.C., the nation's capital, the city known for democracy and freedom. Um, but the other day, um, President Trump um, took an unprecedented control of the police and the National Guard, and put them on the street, which was, in his words, to protect order and to bring in Section 740 of the District of Columbia Rule Act, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So, so we're going to pull back the story on this quote quote takeover. We're going to talk about what the motives are, what's the reasoning behind it, and see if you all agree or disagree as to whether this is a good thing. Is it another question you should ask yourself? Is this just for DC, or is this something that's coming to an area near you? So that's what we're going to talk about today on the Domino Effect. So so I'll start it out. So on August 10th, President Trump ordered that it's, it started out with the homeless. He ordered that all homeless individuals must leave Washington D.C. immediately, stating that they will be relocated far from the capital. And this directive was accompanied by the deployment of 800 National Guard troops and over 100 federal agents to assist in this operation. The U.S. Department of Interior had previously overseen the clearing of 34 homeless encampments across the city over the past 2-month period as a part of an executive order titled "Making District of Columbia Safe and Beautiful." Mayor Bowser has publicly opposed these federal actions, emphasizing that violent crime in D.C. has decreased by 26% since 2024. And she also criticized that bringing in federal troops and putting them on the ground was unnecessary. So, so we're gonna go with we're gonna go back and forth with the pros and cons, and we're gonna see what you think. So if you have any questions, you wanna ask a question, put out a question, statement, whatever, hit the chat and put it in, and we'll put it up and see if we can't get some of these answers. So, Aaron, I'm gonna let you start first because I know you was vocal about this before we came online. So I'm gonna let you start, and then we're gonna kind of bounce back and forth around this and see what we can get accomplished.
Okay. Well, I'm calling BS on their 26% decline for two reasons. One, Washington, D.C. was number 4 in murders in 2024. The only reason why their crime was lower in 2000 up to 2023 was because of COVID and everybody was on a lockdown. Now, this year, they're number 5 in murders and non-negligent homicides. So to say that it's down 26% is BS. And I'm gonna add one more thing to it. Criminals have adjusted to the law system, especially the gangs. They're sending out children, teenagers, 14 to 17 years old, to commit the crimes. Why? Because there's 3 laws that Washington, D.C. has on their books. One is called the Second Chance Amendment, started in 2022 during COVID. Another one is called Incarceration Reduction Amendment, 2021, and the Youth Rehabilitation Act, 2018. Now, Second Chance Amendment gives everybody a second chance, so you're not going to do any time. Incarceration Reduction Amendment, again, if you have to do time, they're going to greatly reduce whatever time you have to do. Plus, I also found out that a lot of the teenagers are being allowed to plea bargain their stuff down to misdemeanors, or they just throwing it out. Because keep in mind, in Washington, D.C., you can steal up to $1,000 and only get a slap on the wrist. They're not going to send you away for that.
Sounds about San Francisco.
Okay. Then you got the Youth Rehabilitation Act, and what that does, it allows alternative sentencing. I mean, instead of me sending you to a juvenile detention facility, maybe I can just put a little ankle bracelet on you and send you home, or have a talk with your parents and just let you do your time around the house doing some house chores or something, which is ridiculous. And what they have created is a super soldier type criminal for these gangs, because the teens are immune to consequences for their actions, basically. And then the homeless themselves are contributing to the crime wave that they're happening. I mean, in my personal opinion, Washington, D.C. should be the shining example of the United States. Foreign dignitaries coming here, tourism going there. Washington, D.C. should be spotless. I mean, in the Navy, is it not true that in different fleets they have what they call a flagship bishop, and that flagship has to be the shining example of any ship of its type? Washington, D.C., being the nation's capital, should be the shining example, should be the flagship of the United States. I mean, right now, the crime rate is so high. Like I said, number 4 last year in murders, number 5 this year. That clearly indicates they got a problem. Any city in this country that is in the top 10 in crime has a major problem, and it's out of control. 40% of the people in District 7 and 8 right now this year have chose to stay home. They're scared to leave their houses. With me being an elderly person, I can relate to that. I'm 67. I'm too old to be fighting young guys or young street gangs.
Hey, you look about 47, dude.
Okay, thank you for that. But, that would almost make me a prisoner in my own house, because I don't feel safe leaving my house. I got to stay home and stay inside. I talked with friends who were stationed there in the military. They told me right now some of the areas of DC is almost third world. It's that bad. Now, when I see these people talking about, well, the crime rate's down, if you're not charging the teenagers committing a crime, then of course it's going to be down. So what are you talking about? If 40% of the people are staying home because they're scared to leave, then that's 40% less victims out there to be victimized. So of course your stats are going to go down. And do we really know if this is true? Because every city in the country claims that crime is down. But from when I was a teenager till now, things is much worse now than they ever been. So you can't tell me that and expect me to believe it. I mean, I grew up, my parents instilled hard work ethic in me. They instilled respect for my elders, also respect for authority. These teenagers that are out here now have no respect for the elders. They have no respect for the authority or the police. They feel that can't nothing happen to them. And that's what makes them a super soldier, especially when you got things on the books to where they're not going to do any time. I mean, here recently, just this year alone, looters have hit 52 stores. And I'm talking flash mob type looters. 52 stores in the DC area. Going in, grabbing grocery carts, grabbing whatever they can carry or hold. And within 3 minutes, everybody's rushing the door. You got Target, you got Walmart, you got different stores talking about closing. 900 restaurant jobs have disappeared in the last 2 months. DC restaurants are closing at a rate of 2 per week due to high crime, inflation, and the high rents. Businesses is moving out because crime is off the chain. So do I feel, and I'm going to give another example, how the Gucci store got broke into this past week, which shows that some of the thieves there got good taste. They broke in and stole a bunch of Gucci stuff. How long will Gucci stay in business if they keep getting looted? So I'm saying you go back to the Wild West. You get Tombstone, Dodge City, get out of control. You bring in a Wyatt Earp to reinstill order. Then once order is reinstilled, you no longer need Wyatt Earp. When the Indians were running around, they were looking ragged because they was all on reservations. What did they create? They created the Texas Rangers. And the Texas Rangers would shoot up the Indians, drive them out of their state, drive them out of Oklahoma, force the homeless ones on somewhere else. Go somewhere else. We don't want you here. Later, if a town got way out of shape, they sent in the U.S. Cavalry to reinstill order. Once order is reinstilled, then you turn order back over to the local authorities. Right now, D.C., which should be a shining example of the United States, is out of control. The gangs are just off the chain. The burglaries off the chain. Stats they're quoting is misleading. I say they need the National Guard. The Guard's supposed to be there for 30 days. And if order's reinstilled, they'll leave. And then order will go back to the police. But the police who are letting people or the government, because you talk about the mayor, you talk about the city manager, you talk about the police commissioner, they set policy for the rules that the police are going to enforce. If someone can steal $1,000 in merchandise from a store and get away with it, then, or just get a slap on the wrist, the police are not going out for certain things anymore. They're not even responding. Where I live at, if someone hit my fence with their car and I called the police aren't coming to do an accident report. So when you got the police not doing their job and they're being ordered to do certain things a certain way, you can expect these kind of things to happen. Anytime that there's lack of authority, that void's going to be filled with whatever power structure that wants to come in and exploit it. So I'm going to say right now, Washington, D.C., seeing that they're number 5 in murder rates and non-negligent homicides this year. If you check the stats, you will see they have a higher murder rate than Compton, and they have a higher murder rate than New York City in violent crime. In fact, the government official said that D.C. is more violent than Baghdad and Ethiopia. So you can check those stats.
I was in Baghdad when you were in Dad's bag. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
no, I'm just kidding.
As an elderly person, I want to know whatever city I live in, I want it to be safe. I want to be able to go outside, cut my grass without having to have a weapon on me. and be able to just sit outside and enjoy things without worrying about drive-bys or someone seeing me and think, well, that's a target of opportunity. He's an elderly person. So I'm going to stop there for right now.
So
What's your thoughts, Mike?
real quick, want to give Cali Kills 714 real quick a nice little thank you for the 5 spot, man, saying a little something for appreciation. Thank you for that, kind sir. Appreciate that. Hopefully you're enjoying the show so far. With this, I got a little small dialogue to go through on this. But first I want to show you guys this. This has probably been the most compelling thing regarding this whole DC discussion and why it's this is the focus and not the rest of the United States. Because when I reported this originally, I said, well, this needs to not just be DC. This needs to be everywhere. You know what I mean? If you're going to do it all or nothing, you know? But I did hear this, and I'm going to play this real quick. It's short.
When you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
So on that, what I would like to say, because you guys have been talking about the National Guard being deployed, all of that, I totally understand every side of the argument here. The way that I think is that we shouldn't be adding more of a police presence, whether that be cops or the military, National Guard, any of that. I don't think that that's actually needed. We don't need a police state. But what I do think is we need to allow the cops to be able to do their freaking job. They're only going to be able to do what the mayor and the governor and the police commissioner tell them they're allowed to do, essentially. So I think we just got to allow the cops to do their thing and actually do their job. And then on a different note, we also have corrupt judges and corrupt DAs. And unfortunately, this creates this whirlwind of problems, right? So it's not just a single issue. There's multiple layers to it. But that's my little take.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right about that. You know, so you asked just now why they do DC first. Well, one, DC doesn't have a governor because it's a federal district, not a state. So you have just the mayor and the city council. So that's where the Home Rule Act comes in, because that gives the president is like a legal shortcut to seize police authority under that reason. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to go to the governor and say, hey, you need to deploy National Guard, just like we did in California for the stuff that was going on over there a few months ago. He can just do it on his own. Now, having the National Guard on the street, I totally disagree with. Reason being is that if you start deploying the National Guard and putting them on the street, you're doing it now in DC. But what's stopping you from doing it in Memphis or New York or Chicago or Baltimore or anywhere else that there's crime? Because there's crime everywhere. There's crime in the big cities. There's crime in rural areas. You got crime everywhere. Now, once we start deploying the military to do what the police is supposed to do, you know what I mean? To me, that's like inciting martial law without actually saying it, because you're getting the military involved in regular business that the police should be able to take care of. Now, a lot of people has been talking about, you know, the funding of the police, whether the police was defunded and stuff like that, which in DC, you had $1 billion that was cut from the city's budget. A lot of that affected the police department. Last checked, what they had, 3,500 officers in DC.
3,500.
But there were way more than that they had to, but they had to downsize because, like I said, they didn't have the money to cover the officers that they had on Now, not only did they do that, but they also cut complete funding on a lot of the programs that they were using, um, like violence prevention programs, um, housing for some of the homeless, healthcare, income support, um, employment, education. A lot of those programs got zero funding. They cut all the funding out on that. Now, when we dealing with a bunch of teenage kids, now mind you, that doesn't go into the actual numbers because they don't count juveniles as adults. So of course, those numbers will be skewed a bit because you got teenagers out here doing this stuff. Now, whether they're in a gang or somebody talking them into it or whatever, you still got to remember this. Once you become a certain age, you know the difference between right and wrong. It's not a whole lot of talking that you can do to someone to do something if they just don't want to do it. Now, is there a lot of things that's involved with that? Yeah, because the biggest thing is money. One thing that a whole lot of people in DC don't have. Because mind you, it may be the nation's capital, but there's a lot of homeless people in DC.
Right. And that's
Now,
something that Heather Moe just brought up. And I wanted to emphasize real quick. What about the cleansing of the homeless people in DC? I mean, that's displacing people, right?
right, right. So you can't, so you got all these homeless people in DC. Yes, DC, some parts of DC looks like a third world country. Why? Because you got a shitload of homeless people. And now you got a lot of these states that's passing laws that the homeless people can't actually be out. So they picking them up, putting them in different places. Like they used to have like the tent cities and all that stuff. They're knocking all that stuff down. So where are these homeless people going? You know what I mean? Because if you cutting the programs and you cutting the housing, where are they going?
They're going to be homeless somewhere else.
Exactly.
Right?
So all you're
So
doing is scooping them up from over here and sending them somewhere else, and they're
kick the
still going to be
can.
homeless. You just want them out of your direct view.
Yep.
That's not fixing the problem. That's just pushing it off on somebody else to deal with.
I think that's what's always happened with homelessness, though. It seems like they just keep moving them until, they kind of settle or whatever until they get kicked out again.
Right. Right. So that's not actually solving the problem. Only thing you're doing is just displacing them. You putting them out the way so that when you drive up and down the street, you don't see them because you got them sitting off somewhere else, and you trying to start these little these little camps or whatever that you're gonna find a spot out in the middle of nowhere and put them out there so that way don't nobody see them. They homeless, but they out there in the woods, so don't nobody even know that their ass is even out there. That's not fixing the problem. You know what I mean? Especially when you cutting the programs and everything else that you can actually use to either give these people some kind of education so that way they can have job placement and get off the street, you know what I mean, or housing where they can get off the street. You know what I mean? That should be the primary focus. It's not just, okay, we just going to sweep the streets clean and then everything's going to be nice. That's not how it goes. You know what I mean? And when you have a lot of these different wars that's over in DC, just like New Orleans and a lot of these other big cities that have wars and stuff like that, you have a whole lot of poor fucking people. Don't have jobs. Don't have training to get jobs. So what are they doing? But what do you think is going to happen once this bill kicks in to where your SNAP benefits is cut, insurance is cut, people getting laid off, everything else? What do you think will happen? Now you're not going to have to worry about the young ones running around because you're going to have the older ones running around doing the same shit. You're not fixing the problem. Only thing you're doing is pushing it away. What was you going to say, Aaron?
I was just going to agree with what you were saying. It's kind of a funny fact. For a number of years, a local city outside of Dayton sits around the border with Dayton. Anytime they got homeless people out there, the police were ordered to round them up and take them to downtown Dayton and drop them off. So That was the one city solution, was dump them off on us. So, and that went on for years. They have no homeless situation because anyone that was homeless got dumped off in the city of Dayton.
Exactly. Exactly. So their area looks nice and pristine,
Right.
and Dayton looking fucked up. You know what I mean? That's what happened. You go right downtown to the bus station. Where they all hanging out at? Right there at the damn bus station.
Yeah.
All around through that little area right there. All through it. You know what I mean? I've been over many times. I know that's what they do over there. You know what I mean? They just drop them off in spots. This is the same thing here. I mean, you got to be able, if you're going to go through the point and sending in National Guard and federalizing the police, you should have a plan other than Operation Sweep them the fuck out of DC.
I agree.
You got to have a plan.
Absolutely.
A plan that's going to actually work. You know what I mean?
But what is the answer though? You know what I mean? That's always been the hard part of homelessness is there's what's the answer? You know what I mean? What's the true that's the hard part about homelessness. Because a lot of them, the argument is like, well, no, I want to be out here. This is my choice. I want to be here. You know? And so it's a super hard, you can't force them to go live in a house or an apartment. You can't force it. You know, what's going to happen?
You know, I'm going to tell you, I mean, and this is just me personally speaking, because I've been to DC. I mean, I've been to Memphis and Newark and Camden, New Jersey.
I've always wanted to go to DC. I've never gone.
Where you see numerous numbers of homeless people. Just here in Tampa. Tampa is super bad with homeless people. Orlando's bad with homeless people.
I've heard that.
People don't just want to be homeless. They don't want to be in the street.
No, that's true. Absolutely.
Now,
I was facing homelessness, so I get it.
Now you do have some that have, and let's say that you have some people that's just, you know, mentally incapable of, you know, having a job or being able to do stuff on their own, and they're out there wandering the streets. Yes, you do have those. Do you have a percentage of people that is just strung out drug users that's out in the street? Yes, you do. But do you also have families that's living in their cars because they can't afford renting their house and they had to move out? Yes. Do you have people sleeping in tents because they couldn't find a job and they lost everything? Yes. I mean, so it's multifaceted. Everybody has their own different story. Do you have a shitload of veterans that's out here in these streets because they couldn't get benefits or got taken off benefits or not getting the housing stuff, you know what I mean, medical? Yes, you do have that. So it's a broad spectrum of issues as to the reason why you have so many homeless people out there. What you need to do, though, is set up a plan to where you can either, okay, if they are veterans, there should be no veteran in the street. My opinion. There should be no veteran ever living in the street.
Yep, I agree. Unless they choose to do that, and that's what they want. That's what I think.
There should be some programs in place to keep that from happening. If you have, you know, mom and her kids are sleeping in a car because they can't afford housing, there should be a program to where she can get housing. There should be a program where she can get job education. There should be, you know what I mean, something in place that you are basically doing some kind of rehabilitation to where they'll be able to go back out and be a productive member of society, not just being in the street. You know what I mean? Now, is that going to help everyone? No, that's not going to help everyone. But I feel that if they're doing something like that, they need to make those plans work. That's out there and not the few, because you're going to have some that's just going to fall through the cracks. There's a whole lot of them that you could actually help if you actually gave a shit and want to help them. There's a whole lot of them that would gladly go somewhere and stay instead of being out on the streets. That's just my opinion. So what you got, eh?
Well, I want to add to what you're saying. I agree. A certain amount of them are vets. Some of them could have mental issues from having been in combat. Others are strung out, like you said. But a big thing that's going to add to the inflation, and you mentioned it, and I want to reiterate it, is this inflation that is controlled by the government and especially the Federal Reserve. If they keep raising the cost of housing and the price of everything keeps going up, like I said, it's war on the middle class, it's war on the working class. Everyone's going to be poor here. No
It
one's going to
100%
own
is.
anything. And in California, I saw where they passed legislation there where it's illegal to sleep in your own vehicle. If cops
What?
catch you, yeah, if cops catch you, it's $250 fine.
Get out of town.
Yeah. And
Sleeping in
now,
your car is illegal?
yeah. And then you have places like Aldi's and Walmart and them that would let people stay in their parking lot. Now they're posting signs that you can only be there for 2 to 4 hours, and then you have to move your car will be towed. So
Wow.
they're really making it difficult on the ones that as might still be working a job but just can't afford the housing in the area. I mean, I saw where some people had bought a used Winnebago that's old and beat up to live in, but they were both computer programmers. And I'm like, but they live in California and they cannot afford to rent or to buy a house there.
I get that.
If rents, I mean, I hear that rent in Washington, D.C. is through the roof. So I could see more and more people becoming financially strapped and can't afford the housing. I mean,
Mhm.
Bishop has indicated to me how high the rent is in Florida. And any coastline, the rents are off the chain. So I can see where it's going to get much worse as long as they keep playing with the inflation rate
That's
and
right.
and adjusting the amount of money that's in circulation. Things is going to get much worse. And I
Well,
feel sorry for the people that's not living below their means right now because it's going to be a killer here in a minute.
that's true. And you're right about the actual true enemy, the Federal Reserve. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're 100% right. And I actually just had this discussion with my family about the Federal Reserve. Trump actually attempted and said, look, our economy, we're doing great, blah, blah, blah. And you need to bring down inflation. You need to bring or interest.
Yeah.
And they denied him. They said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to bring it down. Like, and Trump came out and was like, that's a fucking shame. That is a shame right there.
It was the Federal Reserve that caused the Great Depression. They kept raising interest rates until the whole system collapsed because they didn't like the president that was in office.
That's right.
Mhm. Well, this this whole situation here, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. One of the things that I heard Trump say the other day, that it's gonna like the next 2 years is gonna be it's gonna be rough. And it's
Mhm.
gonna be. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying now. If you already know that this is gonna take place, you should try to put something in place now to counteract what you know is getting ready to happen.
Mhm.
Because you take your average job, minimum wage hasn't went up for ages. Your regular wages hasn't went up. So your wages sitting here, but everything else is here.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Housing expenses up, groceries is up, gas is up, everything. Utilities is up. Everything that you normally get on a regular basis has went up, except for what you making it work. And
That
if it
used to
does
be
go
what
up, it's
unions used to
very
be great for. They used to be great for that.
right. And if it did go up, it's going up minimum. Nowhere, there's no what do you call it? What's the term I'm looking for? Where you're keeping up with the prices. What's the term for it? I forget top of my head. I forget.
Cost of living.
There you go.
Cost of living.
So your cost of living is nowhere in comparison with each other now. You know what I mean? Usually they would keep that up with each other so that way what you're making at work can pay for what you got at home. It's not what it is now. You know what I mean? And then you had a whole lot of them that lived beyond their means. You did. You know, then when the housing market started, everything started jumping up. People started buying those houses and all of them. You know what I mean? And everything looked good because everybody was buying houses, everybody was buying cars, everything was good. But now, people losing jobs. Now, you got other things that's coming into play that's affecting that check. Everybody knows that this housing market is going to drop here soon. So all those houses that you spent $400,000, $500,000, and $600,000 for, that was only worth $200,000 and $100,000 5 years ago, is going right back to that. Which you're going to already be sitting $200,000-$300,000 in debt already, because you know you're not going to get your money back off of that. So what are them people going to do? They're going to turn in them fucking keys because they're not going to be able to pay it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Which is going to kill the housing market.
Yes.
People are going to stop buying cars, which is going to kill it on that
It's a
end.
domino.
It's just going to happen. One thing is going to counteract the other. You know, all these ones that bought these busted up ass Teslas. What do you think gonna happen? You know what I mean? What's gonna happen? How many people in Tesla already got laid off this year? And they steady laying off. And they were just talking about the other day about another couple, what was it? Pepsi in Michigan. They came in and fired everybody in the damn plant that day, sent them all home. You got those Job Corps. They came in and just closed every one of them down. That's what was giving a lot of these young teens that you're talking about. That's what gave them actual training. The ones that wasn't in college, they could go to Job Corps, learn skills, learn a trade, and actually come out and actually be productive. They shut all them down. A lot of the classes that they used to take in school, you know, I know when I was in school, you could take barbering, you can do auto mechanics. It was like a bunch of different stuff that you could do.
I had none of that.
As a trade.
Zero.
None of that. You know what I mean? They did plumbing, they did HVAC, they did all that stuff. They did all that stuff that you could do in high school.
You could do HVAC?
They cut all that shit out.
Bro, that's insane.
You don't got none of that shit no more.
I'm so jealous.
And then you wondering why these young kids is running a fucking muck. They running a fucking muck.
You got to keep
home.
on.
They going home and ain't no fucking food at the crib.
Right.
Mama don't have no food at the crib.
Oh, it's terrible.
That's why they running amok. And they're gonna continue to do that. You know what I mean? You can send in the fucking U.S. Marines. They still gonna be running around here doing it because you have not fixed the problem. You covering it up. You spreading it out. You want D.C. to look like Emerald City. But you're going to take all the ones that made D.C. and push them out in the outskirts, push them over in Alexandria, push them over across the bridge over into Virginia, push them over here over on Maryland, set up some camps over there and push their asses over there. We don't want to see them in D.C. So you want D.C. to look immaculate, but everywhere else, you just turn into a hellhole because you're just pushing them away. You're not helping. You're hindering. You're not trying to solve the problem. You're going to make it worse. You're going to have these older people out here running around now. And they're going to start doing it because they don't lost their jobs. And just as quick as they losing jobs, you got companies that are laying people off. So they're not hiring. What do you do then? Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. I want to add to what you're saying. You're going to have the elderly out there after 2024. If something isn't done between now and then to increase the money that Social Security is receiving, they already said that all of us is going to have to take a 25% cut. Now, if you're barely, I mean, you're not living fantastic on Social Security. You're bobbing in the water, you know. A 25% cut is going to make you sink. The handwriting's on the wall. You better pay your house off. You better get out of debt as fast as you can, because when that 25% cut comes in, you're going to have a lot of elderly out there that's going to be homeless if they're not careful.
True. Was that your old man that put that comment on there, Mike?
It is.
Okay. He's absolutely right. A lot of these kids do feel that they entitled.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They do
100%.
feel that. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
I know when I was a kid,
All for nothing, too.
my ass worked.
For no good reason.
I mean, as soon as I could get, you know what? I begged my mom to get me a work permit so I could go to work.
Right.
I mean,
I was the same way.
My very first job, I worked at a hospital in housekeeping, 15 years old. And I worked and I saved my little money. If I could buy my own school clothes, buy my own shoes, help my mom if I needed to, whatever.
Damn straight.
You know
Be
what
an
I mean?
asset, not a liability. Right.
Right. That's what I did. I wanted
100%.
to work.
That's the
You know
same
what I
thing
mean?
with me.
You got kids here don't want to do shit. I get you. They don't want to do nothing. They want the easy way out. They don't want to work. So they some of them resort to doing shit like this. Totally get it. You know what I mean? But we also have, in this day and age, we got a different, the parents of now are not the parents of old. The parents of old actually taught you something. The parents now sit you on the couch and put an iPad in front of you, and you learned what you learned off of
100%.
YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That's what you learned.
No kidding. YouTube University, man. I went there too.
They didn't teach you nothing. You know what I mean? So when you running around, half these damn kids, I mean, mind you, I got kids out here too. But I'm gonna tell you what, a lot of these kids run around dumb as hell because the parents ain't trying to teach them nothing.
Nope,
and then they get mad at the teachers because the teachers ain't teaching them nothing, but you ain't teaching them nothing at home. So they come to school with no home training. They ain't doing nothing in school because they ain't listening to nobody. You ain't making no difference at home. So what did you just do? You just turned an unruly child into an unruly teenager that's going to be an unruly adult.
Children need structure. They need framework.
Exactly.
And schedules. And schedules too. No structure. Right.
And a good ass whooping ain't hurt nobody. Trust me. I have plenty of them.
100,000%.
Ain't gonna hurt nobody. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of them need. A lot of them need that. But when your mama is out and your grandma ain't the grandma that we used to have, you know what I mean? Big mama is no more. There's no more big mama here. Your grandmother and your daughter, which is mother and daughter, running out here in the clubs and doing every damn thing else. Both of them sitting out here on Facebook, twerking their ass on the fucking Facebook, fucking likes and views and shit. They ain't teaching the kids nothing. What are the kids seeing? Exactly what you doing. Nothing. So if you can't be a leader in your house, what do you expect the kids gonna do? Nothing.
100,000%.
They're gonna do what they see. They're gonna do what other people do.
If they can walk on top of you and they know that, that's what they're gonna do.
Because they don't see what's real out here. You know what I mean? Now, what I would hate to happen is you put the National Guard out there and you have a situation where one of these teenage kids end up getting killed or shot for trying to defy the system in their way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what you don't want to happen.
Which is
then that's going to cause a problem. If
they should know that that's not good.
If you're using DC as like a test dummy to see how it works, to see if it's a good idea for you to do in these other states, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a whole problem. Because if you go in New York with National Guard, you go in Memphis with National Guard, you go in Chicago, fucking problem. And you're going to have a problem because the people out in the street got better shit than what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're not going to take that. But I do think that a lot of this stuff could be resolved if you let the police do their job. I'm not talking about bullying and all the other shit because that needs to be clipped. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about do their actual job, serve and protect.
Yes.
Do your job.
Agreed.
I mean, they make juvenile detentions for kids that don't want to act right. Put them in it. While they're there, they can do these programs and come out and be productive. Open these damn job corps centers up. I remember they used to have when we were younger. If you was like an unruly kid, they tell you either go to Job Corps or you're going in the military. Pick one, because you had to go somewhere where you could learn some discipline. They don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? So, what options do you have? So you got to put out. You got to have something. I mean, you can't just say, okay, we need to get rid of everything. If you don't have something in place for them to go, for them to do, for them to learn. Only thing you're doing is just sweeping something up under the rug. But the more you keep sweeping up under this rug
and kicking the can down the road,
the bigger it's going to get.
True.
Then you're going to have a problem that you can't control.
Snowball effect.
I mean, then you ain't going to have no court. You ain't going to have no choice but to release the hounds at that point, because it done got too far out of hand. You know what I mean? So if you are going to use DC as a test dummy, then stick with DC. Stick with DC. Don't put no camps outside of DC and push all these homeless people in there. Find out what the problem is. Help the people that's actually homeless.
Go to the root cause.
Go to the root cause. Figure out what the problem is and fix that. Stop cutting all these damn programs and get these people in something that's going to actually benefit. Because I'm telling you, if you got, say you got 100,000 homeless in DC, and yeah, they camped out all over the place. Figure out why. You know what I mean? We supposed to be the richest country in the world, but we got more homeless than everybody. And we really do. Because if you go to Dubai, for instance, there's no homeless people. Everybody has a house or an apartment. Everybody gets, if you're not working, then you get a stipend from the government. They've been doing that. They did that in Libya when Gaddafi was there. That's why they got rid of his ass. Everybody had a home or what they called a flat. Everybody had one. No one was broke. Healthcare was free. Education was free. If you wanted to go overseas to school, the government paid for it. These are small countries compared to the U.S. But you come over here, half the country is broke. You got over 600,000 people that was veterans, 600,000 veterans that's homeless. That should never be. That should never be. And it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse. So if you want DC to look like Emerald City, then do the actual work. Don't just sweep them off and just sweep them over to somewhere else and put them in a damn camp like they prisoners. They're not prisoners. They're homeless. What you got, Aaron?
Oh, I was just going to say, I know you and Mike don't want to see teenagers get shot, but hey, I've got a more radical view. My parents used violence on me to make me respect authority and make me respect my elders. And I just saw in DC this week where a guy in his 20s was shot by two teenagers. Keep in mind, 188 carjackings this year so far, 83% committed by teenagers, 80% of those had guns. The parents see those kids come home with guns. They ain't supposed to have a damn pistol till they're 21. And I think there's laws against them even having them in DC. But these kids are armed. You shoot at the police, you get what you deserve.
Oh, I agree with that.
You don't need to be coddled. I mean, in my area, they're passing rules right now to where you spit on a cop, you might lose some teeth. Pain is a hell of a motivator. And sometimes you got to make an example out of some people to get the point across. So that's where I'm at with that.
See, but a lot of that, just what you said right there, a lot of that could have been fixed at home, though.
And it should have been. But you look at the number of people that commit burglaries out of every one of them that's been shot, 99% of them quit doing the burglaries that survived the shooting. 99% quit because pain is a hell of a motivator.
Sure it is. Sure it is. If I put one in your ass while you coming out my window, you think you're gonna do it again? I mean, that's gonna that happens. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
That happens. You know what I mean? Hell, I told y'all the story that time I busted somebody in the, you know what I mean, with the damn pants and it's just like his head in the damn door. Boing. You know what I mean? It happens. You think he gonna do it again? Fuck no, he ain't gonna do it again.
But let me give you an example how screwed up the parents are. I don't know if you guys saw the video that went viral. There was some teenager, 17 years old, went to a barbershop, got his hair cut. He claimed that they fucked his hair up. Now, he's been there many times, but he claimed they messed his hair up. He didn't like it, so they only charged him half price. He leaves the barbershop, comes back later that day with 5 gallons of gas, and he sets fire to the barbershop. He breaks in and sets fire to the place. But while he's splashing that stuff around, it was splashing on his shoes and his feet. So when he set fire, there you can see him in the video, outside camera, running by with his pants and stuff all on fire. He ended up in the hospital, whatever type of clothing he had on. I don't know if it was nylon or what, but it melted to his skin. Some passerby saw him on fire, called ambulance. He went to the hospital. Don't you know his mother sued the barbershop for $20,000? And instead of going to a jury, they went to a judge. The judge didn't go for it. He felt because that boy is 17 years of age, he knew what he was doing, and he didn't award the money. Now, the boy could be faced with criminal charges for setting fire to the barbershop. And I think they should sue the parents for that stuff. What's he doing running around breaking in? I mean, you don't know where your kid's at? My parents knew where I was. Or if they didn't, I got my ass tore up for it.
That's a valid point.
But see, like I said though, you dealing with a different degree of parents these days.
Yep, I agree.
The parents of our age was what? They got schooled by their parents. Who got schooled by their parents? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
There's a
back
disconnect
then,
now.
it was spare the rod, spoil the child. Back
Right.
then.
Right.
Now, you hit your kid, it's child abuse. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have parents that's actually scared of the kids. You got kids that stand up in front of their parents and talk cow shit to them.
Yeah.
In public, in front of people. And they don't do nothing. You know what I mean? I've seen it. You know what I mean? I've been in places where, you know, kids was unruly and the woman kept saying, you keep on, I'm gonna beat you. You keep on, I'm gonna beat you. And finally I pulled my belt off and just gave it to her like, shit, quit fucking talking about it and do the shit. You know what I mean? Let me do it. Seriously. Because you've seen it drop throughout the ages. Like I said, if you have a disorderly teenager, they become disorderly adults. These adults are now having kids and they ain't doing shit with them. And that's how the cycle continues. So is it, mind you, it's the teenagers' fault for doing what they're doing because they do know the difference between right and wrong. It's also the parents' fault because those 13, 14, 15, 16 years that you had them, you didn't teach them shit. So that's your fault too. You know what I mean? Now, I'm a firm believer that not everybody should have kids. Not everybody should have them.
Yeah.
Some of it should just let it roll down where it rolled. You shouldn't have had them because you don't know how to take care of them. You don't know how to teach them. You don't teach them manners. You don't teach them about respect. You don't teach them about honor, not just for yourself, but for other people. You don't teach them how to walk up and say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please, thank you. You know what I mean? The moral structure that every kid should know. A lot of them don't. You know what I mean? If I walked in the house and my mom said something to me and I said, what? I knew what was coming. Don't happen. You know what I mean? To this day, if she asks me something, I say, ma'am, To perfect strangers, I do the same way. The people I know, I say the same thing. Respect. You know what I mean? You are taught that, but you had to have had people with morals and standards that was able to teach you that you could teach somebody else. Like I teach my kids. You know what I mean? But you're not, as long as you got these little entitled ones that don't want to do nothing, don't want to work, think everything's supposed to be just handed to them on a silver platter, and they just go. That's what happens. Go ahead, pull him up, Mike.
We got a special guest, my father, up in the building.
What's going on, Brad?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing?
Up in the building. No, it's good. It's good listening to you guys. You're doing a great job. Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm a boomer. At the end of the day, 1964 and 65 it rolled into what, Gen X. But man, I don't know. I'm just gonna throw something out there real quick. Like my mom and dad, they didn't have like a couch in the living room. You know, they could barely afford to have our house. And then, you know, as I got older, you know, 10, 12 years old, I'm like, hey, you know, hey, mom, you know, a few bucks here and there, you know, do this, that, and the other. She's like, go out and get a job, man. You know, and it's like, I wanted this camera. I remember this camera, this Canon TX1 camera in like freaking 1970, whatever. And it was that Tuttle's camera. And I just loved this camera. I wanted to buy this camera because I just love photography and all that shit. And so, like, I mowed, it seemed like 100 lawns for $3. Front and back, you know, trimming, edging, the whole deal. And I got my camera. You know what I mean? And like when we were kids, like we had Lincoln Logs, fucking Legos, a jug of Lincoln Logs, Legos, and maybe if you were lucky, you had some of those twinkle sticks or whatever they were called. But anyway, it's like we had to earn everything we got. Everything. I mean, I started working in yards. I was a pinhead on fishing boats when I was 13 years old, 14 years old, you know, working for tips, that kind of thing. Just busted my ass through my entire life. Like, dude, I'm 61 years old. I've never turned down a fucking hour of overtime. You know what I mean? Even if
he used to trip out, I used to get like offered double time, and I would decline it.
It's a trip.
He'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, my earbuds aren't in.
Yeah, no, keep them out. Keep them out. The audio sucks with the earbuds. Keep them out.
How about now?
You go ahead and speak now. Yeah.
All right. All I'm saying is that, like, man,
there you go. Sounds way better.
I'm just like tripping on. Like this next generation that's going on right now. I see these kids here locally. They have absolutely no desire to work.
Yep, 100%.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't get a kid to come over and mow my lawn. Like, I'll pay you $20 an hour, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, nah, no. How about 40? You know what I mean? Like, I was getting
100%.
You know, it's like there was no negotiation. It was like time to fucking go to work. I bartered with people. The whole tract where I lived, everybody had an avocado tree in their backyard. So I made deals with everybody in the neighborhood that I would pick their avocados and take them to McCoy's Market, sell them outside in my wagon, and split it 50-50 with them. I made hundreds of dollars, you know, when I was like 11. to be able to like get shoes. And my mom, she couldn't afford like Nikes or anything like that. The shoes, we used to go to Roberts in Long Beach, California, and the shoes were $1.99. And they were just lame, you know. So if I wanted shoes, I had to go work for it. And even into my adult life, my mom, she was supportive, and my parents were always supportive. If I got my tit in a ringer, they would help me out. But I'll tell you what, everything went down on a list.
You're
Every
paying
penny,
every penny. You're paying every penny
every
back.
penny. And when my mom died, her estate got every penny that I owed her. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm scared for our youth. You know, I there's so many wonderful jobs out there. If you look at how the United States or even the world has been built, it's been built by men. Now, I have nothing against women. I'm just saying, who's up there hanging wire? Between here and California and Texas and all that shit. Who's lumberjacking? Who's building houses? Who's building skyscrapers in the cities and shit like that? It's hardcore men that are willing to work. And I'm afraid we're running out of those guys. No bullshit.
Yep.
That's just the way I feel. I feel like we're running out of those guys. I don't see anybody fucking knocking on my door going, hey, bro, can I fucking trim your tree for $15? You know what I mean? I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude. Jump in. Let's go.
Mhm.
But anyway, so just want to throw my 2 cents in there. You guys are doing great.
That was awesome.
I'll be on the side standing by. I just, and like we're talking about DC and whatnot. Listen, all right. I've never been to DC, but I know I grew up in, Long Beach, San Pedro, Los Angeles area, Compton, Inglewood, South Central, all that area. I'm very familiar with. So I was there for 60 years. Okay, in California, I'm gonna throw this out there. It's rough, but we have so many homeless people. I've pulled off to the side and talked to people in tents and shit like that, just out of curiosity. Like, what's your story? And a lot of these people really, really just look me in the eye sanely and say, I ask them if somebody would offer you that little apartment over there for $100 a month, would you take it? And they're like, no fucking way. It dips into their fucking heroin habit. And then you look back, do some research on fucking what happened. If you have a chance, watch a documentary called The Pharmacist. Okay. It's an amazing situation what happened to this country when what's that painkiller called that I'm thinking
fentanyl?
of? No,
Oxycontin.
Oxy.
Oh,
Okay,
Oxy.
when Oxy
The best
came out,
medication in the world.
Yeah,
yes,
I've seen that movie that he was talking
yeah.
about.
Well,
It's the only
when
medication that
Oxy came
matters.
out, man, I mean, we had dirty doctors writing scripts for young people like yourself, Mike. For 200 or 300 tabs of 80 oxys.
Yeah, that's insane.
You know what I mean? Where they go
It's
like
out of
5,
control.
10, 20, 40, 80. Like, so all these people got fucking strung out. And then once they fucking lock down on that shit, of course, what do they got to do? They're going to go fentanyl or fucking heroin. And so they end up in their fucking tents. And that's why they're not going to pay $100 fucking dollars for that beautiful little apartment across the street,
Right.
because it dips into their dope money. They'd rather sleep in the tent. I mean, in California, it's just the weather's so nice they can deal with it. And they have like this whole like scenario where they're all hooked up. They take care of each other. They make sure that he's got his dope, I got his dope. I'll cover your shit until I get my check, and the whole fucking thing. And a lot of these places, are there. They're available. They're like, hey, listen, all you got to do is like just come and stay clean. They're like, fuck that, ain't doing it. So anyway, I'll listen to what you guys have to say. Thanks
No,
for
it's
letting me
awesome.
jump in. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting me jump in. You guys are awesome. I'm very proud of my son. I love him very much. Almost lost him. On his motorcycle, and I'm so happy he's here with me. I always try to bust his ass pretty good. I, I fucking flung him over a fucking couch one time like a rag doll. It's pretty funny. Anyway,
That was when I was lighting the ass. You're talking about when I was like 14. Yeah, try that shit with me now. You know what I mean?
I'll kick your leg out from under you, bitch.
No, you
I'll tell you
won't.
what.
No, you will not. No,
Fucking
you
A.
will not.
I'm quick. I'm 61. I'm still fucking badass.
That's true. That's true. I
Give
give
me
you
about
that.
fucking 10 years. I'll fucking tap. All right.
That's right. Okay. We'll let you think
All
that.
right.
Yes,
Love you
sir.
guys.
Love
Have
you
a
too.
great night, and I'll be listening. All right.
All right. Roger that. All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Appreciate it. Man, that was awesome. Great time. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That was awesome. Thank you for giving him that time as well.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Good to have him on here. Yeah, that was funny. Slung your ass over the couch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Man, I'll tell you what, though, with that, I think all of us older, we all have stories that way. And we remember all these stories and we talk about them now, and we laugh about them. But you sit back and you think that those instances made you who you are. It taught you something. You may not have thought about it then as it being a teaching lesson for you, as though I'm tired of your shit and you back talk or whatever, you gone. You know what I mean? Now that you have kids and that you've grown and you understand what all it takes to raise a child, you realize that what you did was it needed to be done. I needed to drop down a step. You know what I
Totally.
mean? I needed to be brought down a step to realize, like, you know what I mean? You may think you the baddest one on the block,
There's
but you're not.
a hierarchy,
Right.
you know?
But you're
Yeah,
not.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Got
You're
to
gonna
be able to
learn one or
respect
two ways.
authority in that way. Right.
Right. Trained by pain, trained by brain. You make the choice. You know what I mean? And that's what is actually hurting a lot of this stuff now. Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. It's a lot of them out there that's strung out on drugs. There's a whole lot of them out there strung out on drugs. But then there are also a lot of them that's out there just because they can't afford to be anywhere else. You know what I mean? Sleeping in cars, sleeping in tents, shelters, what have you. You know what I mean? Women's shelters, they got 2-3 kids. They sit up in a women's shelter. They can only stay there till 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they got to be up running around trying to find, they shuffling these kids around, kids not being in school, stuff like that. It's an ongoing problem. Yeah, you
It's
do
a
have this issue
catastrophe.
here, but you also have these ones over here that would actually take that $100 offer if you put it out there. You know what I mean? And
That's
like
fair.
I said, and that's why I said before that a lot of this stuff that's going on and some of the stuff that they need to put in action, they need to put in for the majority of the people, not the few. Because I guarantee you that there's more people will take that $100 offer than turn it down.
Especially in today's day and age, too, for sure.
Exactly. So we're going to say we're at 114. So we're going to turn it down for the evening. But even with the problem that's going on in D.C., this cleansing of the town, I do say that I hope it's done the right way. If you're going, don't just sweep these people up under the rug or push them outside and push them into other people's towns and stuff and expect them to be able to take care of it or sit here and build these centers that you giving these states, $400 or $500 million to build That's not what this country was built on. That's not what it's about. You know, if you want this country to be and stay the dominant in this world, that means you take care of everyone in it. Doesn't have to do with race, color, creed, what their mental problem is, whatever. American is an American. You wanted everybody else that wasn't American, then you're getting them up out of here. Take care of your people. Take care of your own people. You know what I mean? We spend billions and billions of dollars every year
That's one of my biggest points.
to all these other countries.
Exactly. 100%.
But you don't take care of the ones right here. You're the richest country in the world, but you got more homeless people than anyone in the world. Fix that. You know what I mean? Worry about what's important. Don't worry about whether the Washington Commanders going to turn their team back into the Redskins, or worried about whether somebody from WNBA been bullied and you want to do a federal investigation. Also, stick with the shit that's important. You know what I mean? If you want the support of the people, that means you protect the people. Because after all, you're not a king, you're a servant of the people. That's all I got to say for tonight. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. What I'm about to say is to try to save people from becoming homeless, to where all this stuff's going to go against you. We already know, the elderly, that 2034 is the year that's been set for a 25% cut. Don't get caught short. Pay off them cars, pay off your house, live within your means or below your means, to be honest with you. For the young people out there, pick a profession that you can go anywhere in the world and be able to work. I'm a big proponent of the trades. You can go to trade school for a year or two versus going to college for 4 or more, and you got no guarantee of a job when you get out, and you've got high school debt probably that's going to be rolling with you. Pick a trade, pick something that will guarantee you employment anywhere you go. And that's the best advice I can give you. And I'll stop there.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys hit the like button on both sides, whether you're on AB's channel, The Diamond Effect, or if you're on mine, make sure you guys, by the way, go back and forth and hit the like on both. With that being said, Bree, I want to thank you as well. America for $9.99. Absolutely appreciate that. Listen, if you guys are on my side, we're going to be closing out and rating our buddy Grid One Motorsports. Make sure you guys stick around for that, and hopefully everyone enjoys the rest of their week. We'll see you guys very soon here in the next, we'll see you guys in 7 days. Much love, honor, respect to everybody.